Hey guys, Mike here. So we are so close to all-time highs on the S&P. At least on my chart, we were 0.2% away as we closed out. Let me know if your chart looked the same. I do trading views, so that's what I got on. Again, the Qs just kept going after setting all-time highs. We still got equal weights. The Dow still lagging. And there's something else. A lot of people talk about this like it's negative, but it could absolutely be a positive catalyst, believe it or not, and we'll talk about it. A lot of people saying, ooh, can't have this going on if this don't improve and all that fun stuff. But, you know, this is something I put in every morning news briefs, and the members should be up to date on this. But it is crazy to think when you look at this chart I'm going to show you, or two charts actually, you go, wow, we're at all-time highs on the QQQ and almost at all-time highs on the S&P, and this is what's happening underneath the hood. I mean, it's mind-boggling. And the other thing is, I don't know if you noticed, just had a conversation with my neighbor about this, but boy, the high beta stuff is flying off the shelves still. I mean, it is unbelievable. So we're going to get into all that, the charts, all that fun stuff. But when you look right here, I mean, this came out today from Bloomberg, and they're like, high beta stocks are breaking out relative to low volume peers and best quarter since 2020. And yeah, I mean, high beta stuff is just flying. You can see it again today, over the last 3 days especially, but just really since April. I mean, just unbelievable. And this is a complete joke, by the way, but this is a meme that came out. Anybody who knows who the liver king is right here, it says bears in April. That's before he discovered steroids. And this is now, of course, he got arrested for some crazy mess. But anyway, he's laughing all the way to the bank because he's worth a ton of money. A great documentary on Netflix if you've never watched about the liver king right there. But that's what steroids can do for you. Now, looking at the breadth. This is what we're talking about here. S&P 500's breadth is stuck despite rally. And it is stuck. Like, this is the S&P percentage of members above a 200 moving average right here. We can go to TradeView and look at this. This is what's crazy. Like, this is when we were sitting there at 2024 all-time highs and stuff, right? You see with the percentages way up there. That's 2021, even higher. And look where we're at now. I mean, it is down there. And when you throw the SPY over this, you know, I'll show this to you. You can see when we were all-time highs before, what the breadth actually was, right? And the breadth can be going down as we continue to get a blow off top, right? That's what happens normally. And you can see over here, we broke to new all-time highs, kept going. The breadth just wasn't doing anything, but it was much higher. It was a larger percentage up here. And then it kept going as the breadth started heading down. It kept going, boom. And then we get another crash down right there. But look where the breadth is now. And so you can look at this and say, well, that's just bearish. But you can also say, wow, what happens if all of a sudden, you know, large institutions do start to come in and we start getting more members of the S&P 500 above the 200 moving average? That's the question, right? That's the bullish part. Or you start to see this decline and we continue to go up. As you can see, that's usually never a good thing, but it can last a long time, right? You see the NASDAQ here, how high it was. The high percentage it had is it was moving up, and you can see that breadth rolling over. And that's usually when you start to see a top start to form. It continues to push up, sucking people in, and then drops. But you see the same thing here, and now you see where it's at. The breadth is a little bit better over here on the NASDAQ 100 with a 200 moving average, because obviously we're heavy tech here. But it's still much lower than it was from the two previous all-time highs, right? And of course, the NASDAQ 100, the QQQ, has set an all-time high here. But you can see if it keeps going sideways or goes down, the market can continue to go up. I know it sounds crazy, but that's what's happening. And a couple of things to watch out too is the dollar and rates. Because at some point in time, you know, you're getting in these oversold conditions on the dollar. You can see it right there. And I mean, even on the weekly, it's oversold, and it's getting in this area where it's a bounce zone, right? So if that bounces, if we get a bounce right here from the dollar, and then we add that into the yields, which you can see the 10-year, for example, is starting to come also into an area of a bounce zone, does that finally end up giving us some kind of pullback in the market, right? Because remember, Monday's the end of June, Tuesday we're rolling into July. First 2 weeks of July historically are like the best of the market. I mean, it has to be that way. But you saw it last year, you saw it the year before last, all that stuff. And then it gets iffy in the second half of July and August, September. But still, if these bounce, you should finally get some reprieve. I mean, have to come down, maybe go sideways or some pullback. You know, I can't imagine it's going to happen before to get this close to all-time highs, by the way. And we're not even oversold on the daily on the S&P, so there's still room to run, right? And the S&P is not one of these things that gets like crazy oversold, or excuse me, overbought. I think I said oversold, overbought. You know, the Qs can get overbought, but even there, you're not seeing it get too crazy since like, what is that, early 2024 right there. And so it can go much higher for sure. but there is still room to run. And the whole thing about this, when we look at these charts, is we know there is bearish divergence and stuff, but if the Qs come down, look to see if the previous all-time high holds. Okay, it tested it once, moved up, and so let's see if that kind of stuff holds. It can come right below it, but you don't want to be some major drop below that. Okay, and again, some of the stocks that are going to help out here are going to be Avgo. You know, what's it doing? Came up, broke the previous all-time high, came down, short little retest there on the 2-hour chart right there. You can put a 4-hour if you want to as well. And what you're looking at, maybe, again, stocks just don't go straight up. The market just don't go straight up. And pullbacks are normal when we get them. And just be watching out right now because you got Avgo at all-time highs. If it does pull back, watch for the previous all-time. NVIDIA is setting all-time highs right here, kind of hanging out right there. We'll see what happens if it comes back down. If we do get a retest, this one is definitely overbought on the shorter term time frames, by the way. And we are trying to wrap out June here with some heavy data coming out. Again, we had data today. I mean, you know, shocker, GDP was not good first quarter. We already knew that, right? I think it was the durable goods and the core durable goods that probably surprised everybody coming in much higher. But as somebody pointed out, it was Boeing airplanes for just regular durable goods. Core durable goods actually takes out airplanes and something else, but it was still way higher than what people expected. So again, the data and the unemployment rates continue to hold up. Now SMCI, you can see right here, again, since it held that point right there to the penny, man, like 21%, just moving up there into that box right there, that box which we put in there a while back, probably like, I don't know, 4 weeks ago or something. That is a weekly fair value gap. That's when you see stuff start to slow down to mitigate that. It's also a draw. So we're going to put this line up here at 46.18 to see if that holds. If we do happen to get any kind of weakness, any kind of retest. But for me, the bigger picture is simply pulling an AMD, like breaking this bigger long-term trend line up here at the top and moving, okay? So, you know, if we do see some pullback, you know, a lot of people are going to go in the 50 and 60 calls, probably, no doubt, because the trend is up. You can see, you know, it doesn't get a lot of flow as far as call options like a Tesla or NVIDIA, but that's what you've been seeing over the last couple of days, right? I've showed it to you. And so, again, with this one right here, it is getting a little overbought right there. You can see on the lower time frames. And so I think a lot of people are hoping for a slight pullback just to try to get a better price on the calls and stuff. But, you know, you can see, again, the long-term pictures to break that trend line going back to 2024, the beginning, where it's rejected multiple times to pull an NVIDIA, or not NVIDIA, an AMD, and then start shooting up. So, like, you know, 63.59 will be a target. Another target, I'll move this line up here at first. If it does happen to get up here, that's the top of that weekly fair value gap at 51.23 as well. And we know, of course, also, you know, the semiconductors have been bullish, right? So, I mean, AMD kind of took a break today, but it's had a huge move. And so this is what everybody's looking for. As long as there's no news out about, you know, accounting errors or whatever else they got going on, you know, this one's pushing up, and it just so happened because high beta stuff is pushing up, right? You see Amazon today, that is not high beta, obviously, but, you know, calls start rolling in on this one. I think I just did a member video on Amazon. You can see this trend line, 5 rejections right there. And so you can see the supports could be around 214 right there if it decides to come back down. But if it can break out of that, 218.43 to 220, and then you start heading back up into the draw, which will be that weekly fair value gap right there. Top of that's around 228. Doesn't mean it can't go higher or whatever. But if we get a pullback, watch for 214. I believe it's like 29 to actually hold because they do have a big event coming up in July right there. Google trying to break above this trend line, trying to break right there above that volume node right there. And if it can finally get moving, which would be nice. I mean, it's been a laggard, but it's, you know, in this channel, it's moving up, right? And we'll move the line right here at the top of that, right around 176 right there. So if it can break above that, we can finally get some movement probably around 182, which would be nice. But again, this trend line right here is trying to hold above it. I'd love to close. You know, we put that box in there quite a while back, so we'll just take that out right there. That's been mitigated. But, you know, but I'd love to see it hold 170.68 right there is that white line if it comes down. We'd love to start heading towards 175.97, which is where we put the other white line for the first target. And this is more of a stair stepper, right? This is not like a Tesla or any of these other kind of high beta stocks. I mean, it does like the stair step up. You can see it. It is staying in this channel, bounced off the bottom of the channel. And so again, it has that trend line right there, which will probably be resistance when it comes up to it. But 172.27 is definitely, I want to move that line to, and I'd love to see that hold. Disney, you can see this right here. Finally starting to peek its head above this trend line, getting into this volume gap right here. You know, this one has a nice move off the April lows right there. And so if this can continue up, first target's gonna be at 126.76 right there. And then of course we look out and see if it continues to move right here. If the market is gonna continue to push and you see a little more rotation into this one, obviously you can see around 131.40 would be the next target after that. And so that's what I'll be looking at on Disney right there. Now, speaking of high beta stuff, you see Roblox, we talked about it. Eventually this obviously trend will come to an end on Roblox, because when you look at this, especially on a weekly, you're like, yeah, that's unsustainable. But this thing has just been straight up and to the right. I mean, just an amazing move up. And remember, this is the stock I told you about. I bought my son a long time ago, or in the 20s, to teach him about the stock market, because he plays Roblox all the time, right? And now he's happy to see Roblox. But when you look at the weekly on this thing and start counting the weeks right here, and that's all-time highs to the left, it's coming up into what would be resistance. But I believe it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight green weeks. But it's 8, 9, 10, so it's 11 out of 12 green weeks. I mean, that's remarkable. It really is. And so eventually, yes, this will come to an end. Gravity will take effect on this thing, and it will start to come down again. They do have earnings in July, so I could be wrong. Maybe they report great earnings, and away you go. But when you're running up this much into earnings, holy moly, we usually know what happens. Gravity does take effect, but maybe they'll come out with some shocking stuff here. You know what I'm saying? Now, ENPHASE, this is all solar stocks and wind stocks were up because Meta made some deals and said, you know, they're trying to secure more energy and stuff like that. Also, as I'll show you, maybe they're going to get some credits put back in this bill. But the biggest thing is, like I was telling somebody, you ain't got to try to play a hero in this thing. Just see if it breaks out of the channel of death, right? See if it gets out of that. Because if it does, then all of a sudden, you know, you could be cooking. There's no doubt about it. And that's the headline that came out. I believe it was late last night, early this morning. I put it in the morning news brief. And then there's the solar stocks jump on Senate hits it. Rooftop tax relief. Okay, so again, that's why those have been up, and of course they were hammered down. Now, when you look at data coming out tomorrow, core PCE price index month over month, personal income, personal spending, revised consumer sentiment, and inflation expectations, and that is about it. Feel free to put your questions for Saturday's video in the comments, and I'll get to those tomorrow for Saturday. Please hit that like, subscribe button as well. Really appreciate all you guys who watch it. And think about signing up with the membership. Less than McDonald's combo, which is $7.99. McDonald's combos are more expensive than that, at least in my area. So anyway, hope you guys got something out of it, and I'll see you guys on Saturday.